45 years after Terry Fox's Marathon of Hope, his brother is in Thunder Bay to help celebrate that enduring legacy. Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Haley Perot alongside Ryan Bonazzo. It was a special day at the Terry Fox Monument as the late icon's brother Daryl Fox rode into the city of Thunder Bay alongside 7 other cyclists.
And this was all in honor of that Marathon of Hope 4.5 decades ago. Ryan Graham joins us now in studio. Ryan, how was the team welcomed today?
Daryl Fox and his team were greeted with tremendous support and appreciation. At the famed Lookout site, they began their journey in Vancouver, and after a brief pit stop here in Thunder Bay, they'll continue their journey across Canada until they arrive in St. John's, Newfoundland. Daryl Fox and his team of cyclists are halfway through their journey across Canada in the name of his late brother Terry. Their goal is to raise $1 million for the Terry Fox Foundation to support cancer research and ultimately find a cure, just as Terry Fox envisioned all those decades ago.
There's an incredible hope out there. You know, I see it every day now with meeting. I'm a sponge for all things Terry, and this adventure and this journey has been about meeting people who have experienced cancer and are alive today because the investment we made over the last 45 years in cancer research. And that's what it's all about, is adding more hope to the world.
I think all of us have been touched by cancer in one way or another. For myself, my mom passed away from cancer. It'll be 10 years ago, the anniversary, and my dad is currently in treatment for bladder and prostate cancer. So definitely we're thinking of them as we pedal along.
Many supporters gathered to mark the years since the Marathon of Hope.
To be here and to continue on with our mandate of helping Canadians to understand and appreciate our history and our story, particularly the story of Terry Fox and his amazing contribution to Canada, is a real honor.
More than anything else, I don't think he was interested in the fame. He's looking at creating the revenue so they have the tools to fight this.
It's just an absolute honor for us, to welcome Daryl Fox, Terry's younger brother, to Thunder Bay, and the rest of his ride group. The Ride for Hope. Raising awareness for cancer research, raising money for cancer research. The job is not done.
Anyone who wants to track the journey of Daryl Fox and his team, or donate to the cause, can do so at terryfox.org. Ryan Graham, TBT News.
50 practical nursing students at Confederation College are now going to school free of charge thanks to a $1.2 million investment from the province.
The funding announcement, meant to address the nursing shortage across the region, was celebrated today. As Emma Chilton tells us, the students' education is also being accelerated to get them into hospitals faster.
Critical staffing shortages in hospitals across northwestern Ontario have led to long wait times and, in some cases, even temporary emergency room closures. That healthcare crisis has prompted the province to provide full funding for 50 practical nursing students at Confederation College and its Thunder Bay and regional campuses. Dean of Health Nigawin and Community Services Shane Strickland says the school is also fast-tracking the education so they can get jobs as soon as possible.
Our Confederation College program is typically a 22-month program. We're really excited to be able to do it in a fast-track program. The students are going to graduate in as little as 18 months, and it's a fully funded program. This means students are going to have their tuition and ancillary fees covered, as well as any supplies and textbooks that they will need. And there's even funding involved for students that might need to travel for their placements. So this should be a zero cost to the students to complete the program.
The nursing students started their studies in March and will graduate next July. Confederation College President Michelle Salo says this will help alleviate the demand across the region.
There are a number of smaller communities like Marathon, Dryden, Kenora, and Fort Frances that have the expanded nursing. And there's high demand in those small regional communities, and this is really going to support that expansion of nursing.
MPP Kevin Holland says allowing students to study nursing in their hometowns will benefit their communities.
Being able to provide this program, not just in Thunder Bay, but throughout the region where people are from, it'll go a long way for them to practice in their hometowns. We often see from communities in northwestern Ontario that there's a reluctance to have to go down to, even sometimes come to Thunder Bay, but if they have to go down to Toronto, by example, for their training, they'll just opt out of that. So this really opens up the opportunities for them to receive that training, then that they get back into their communities.
Emma Chilton, TBT News.
A warning about the disturbing details in this next story. A teenager has been convicted of first-degree murder in the death of 14-year-old Kaye Ival more than 5 years ago, and that conviction didn't require a trial. Ival was found dead in a wooded area near Arundel Street and Lyon Boulevard in April of 2020 after she was reported missing by her family. The accused can't be named as they were also just 14 at the time of their arrest. They didn't enter a guilty plea today, but conceded that there's sufficient evidence for a conviction. The youth is the second person convicted in connection to Ival's death, after Jarrett Sainawap pleaded guilty to accessory after the fact. According to an agreed statement of facts, the youth struck Ival in the head with a bottle and stabbed her more than 100 times. The full details can be found on tbnewswatch.com.
The Thunder Bay Police Service says it needs to up its recruitment game in order to compete with other police forces in the region.
This acknowledgement comes as the Anishinaabe-Aski Police Service plans to double its complement of officers. Justin Hardy explains.
The Thunder Bay Police Service Board is asking city representatives to raise the service's resourcing and recruitment challenges with provincial officials at this summer's AMO conference. The issue was originally brought to the board in May, where police officials said Thunder Bay is facing difficulties competing with other services like Anishinaabe-Aski Police, which is currently planning to double its complement of officers over the next 5 to 10 years. Thunder Bay Deputy Chief Jeremy Pearson says that competition is a big part of the staffing challenges.
We do now have multiple services within the region who are actively offering employment opportunities. So we do need to put an emphasis on retaining both our sworn and our skilled civilian staff. So it's something that we need to look at. And as I say, we're catching up with the reality of what I believe is probably across the province in terms of more densely populated municipalities or municipalities that border more closely on others. There's always, movement within the workforce.
Pearson says city police are in the process of drafting its next round of budget proposals, which include potential expansions to meet community needs. He adds the city police will have to up their game to compete with other services.
There's now a competitive market for these skilled positions, both sworn and civilian, and so it's top of mind certainly for our service that we need to be prepared to properly compensate and properly staff all of our departments in order to provide service and in order to retain our employees and our skilled knowledge base.
The AMO conference will start on August 17th. That's when the city will have its chance to raise its concerns with the province. Justin Hardy, TBT News.
Thunder Bay police have arrested a woman in connection to an armed robbery at a Beverly Street business on Thursday morning. The 29-year-old is accused of entering just before 7 o'clock, brandishing a knife at employees and stealing merchandise. The suspect fled before police got there, and the arrest was made a day later on Friday.
Ontario NDP Deputy Leader and Kiiwetinoong MPP Saul Mamakwa has confirmed on social media that his wife Pearl Mamakwa has died suddenly. Saul Mamakwa posted this statement on behalf of the family, which reads in part, "Pearl's strength, kindness, and unconditional love were the foundation of our family, and her absence leaves a void that can never be filled. This unexpected loss has shaken us deeply, and we are still trying to process the reality of life without her. We're grateful for the time we had, and we will carry her spirit with us always."
Thunder Bay City Council will hold a special vote tonight to cancel the plans for a temporary shelter village at Cam River Heritage Park. City officials now say the risk management costs for that site are too high and it's no longer a viable option. City Council voted in favor of the Cam River site in early May, approving plans to build 80 tiny homes there. But local emergency responders and CPKC Rail have expressed safety concerns about the location, which is right between railroad tracks and the Cam River. Councillor Casey Atraney has tabled a motion to rescind Council's decision to approve the site. If that vote passes, the city will likely take another look at some sites for the homeless village that were previously rejected. Also at City Hall this evening, Council will vote for a second time on a plan to adjust the city's tax ratios, which will place more of the tax burden on single-family homeowners and reduce the burden on businesses.
The city is set to restart major road work on Simpson Street that first got underway last year. The section between Dease and East Victoria will be closed for most of this season. The $5.5 million contract, which also includes construction on Leith Street, will see sewer and water upgrades, asphalt replacement, new sidewalks, and traffic signal upgrades. The work starts tomorrow, and senior project engineer Brian Newman expects it to take until the end of the construction season. The road will be completely closed both ways. Drivers are advised to take May Street instead.
When you're on the south side of town, heading down our street, I would hopefully encourage people. We're going to have signage obviously at May Street to head up May Street. Once they're out of the intersection, you'll be able to continue down Simpson to turn off at George or here at Victoria Avenue. So it's another option, but for all intents and purposes, it's best to kind of stay on May Street if you can. Heading northbound. Southbound, well, they're going to be diverted at Dease.
Newman notes they'll keep the sidewalks open as long as possible, and there will still be access to businesses during construction.
The Boulevard Lake Dam Fishway will be empty for the next 6 to 8 weeks as improvements are made to the fish ladder to help rainbow trout migration. The project, spearheaded by the North Shore Steelhead Association, is now underway and is expected to last until mid-August. Work includes boring trout-sized holes in the walls of each part of the ladder to allow fish to swim through instead of needing to jump each waterfall. The project will also alter the way water flows through the fishway to better attract fish to it instead of the neighboring spillway. Current River project manager Frank Edson says they're also installing sensors and cameras to track fish's use of the ladder.
Because we're including two fish counters, one will be able to determine the number of fish entering the first cell in the fishway, and the last one in the top cell will determine how many fish actually went through the fishway. So it'll validate the effectiveness of passage for the fish, also determine the number of fish, and hopefully assist us in understanding what flow rates, what water flows are best or optimal for movement of fish in the fishway itself.
The project is expected to cost over $35,000 and is being funded by all 3 levels of government.
Let's turn our attention to the weather now. And Fiona, we had quite the show if you were up late or up early, I suppose, this morning.
3 a.m.
Yeah, about 3 a.m. Yeah, late or early, depending on your perspective. We had quite the storm.
I was up for it. It was quite the storm. Apparently, my dogs are not as big fans as you are. All I could hear above the thunder rumbling was the chattering of one of my dog's teeth because it was so scary. This is the system that moved through in the early morning hours and kind of has been breaking up as it's going, so we're left with not a whole lot to talk about, which is always kind of a nice thing at the end of a day. But before we get to that, let's talk about the numbers that we saw locally. We had a low of 14 and we warmed all the way up to 27 this afternoon, and that's despite being mostly cloudy for the majority of the day. However, it was the humidex that hit 35 around 1 p.m. 1 p.m. this afternoon. The humidex has kind of tapered off a little bit because the winds started kicking up as well. We had very little wind to start the day, but this afternoon it was gusting between 35 and 53 kilometers per hour, which was probably a relief because it made it feel a lot less stifling. Across the region at this hour, we've got kind of a mixed bag. We've had increasing clouds in Fort Frances. They're currently partly cloudy and at 21, which is pretty much their high for the day. Humidex, not really much of a factor to the west. We've got similar temperatures, maybe just a touch cooler in Red Lake at 19, Kenora 17, and then things start to warm up as we head further east. We've got 20 in Sioux Lookout, 24 for Atikokan, Armstrong, Nipigon, Greenstone 23, and then along the North Shore, that's where the winds off the lake are keeping things quite a bit cooler. Marathon currently just at 12 Celsius, and Sault Ste. Marie has had a lot of cloud this afternoon. They're currently experiencing a bit of a thunderstorm, and they're sitting at 26. Now here in the city of Thunder Bay tonight, we're going to see clear skies. As you saw on the radar, the majority of the system has moved out, so that's going to leave things nice, clear, a little cooler than last night, but still in the double digits. And although winds will continue to be gusty up to 50 kilometers an hour for the next couple of hours, after that, things are going to taper off. So it's looking like Mother Nature is setting the stage for a very calm, very sunny, and a nice, comfortably warm Tuesday. The question is, how long does that last? And I'll have those answers later on in the news hour.
Keeping us over here on the edge of our seats.
That's my goal.
All right. Thanks a lot, Fiona.